concerned. The school district says Hephzibah High School's game against Warren County is canceled because of a COVID case in Hephzibah's football program.
The district also went ahead and canceled another Hephzibah game next week because of that case. News 12's Nick Proto is here to break it all down for us. Nick?
3 high school games are canceled tonight because of the virus. That brings the total to 7 high school football games this season that have been canceled. Almost half of Richmond County high schools have had to cancel 1 or more games because of the coronavirus. Hephzibah becomes the latest Richmond County school to cancel a game. They were scheduled to play Warren County tonight. Other canceled games are Burke County versus North Oconee and Josie versus Screven County. This is the second time Josie's been unable to play this year. They had to cancel their game 2 weeks ago against Laney after Laney had positive cases within the program. Richmond County schools have to wait 2 weeks after a positive case to play again. Josie is currently in the 2nd week of their waiting period after a reported positive during their bye last week. One game that's not canceled tonight is Laney versus Grovetown. As I said, Laney had to cancel 2 weeks ago. They get their first taste of action tonight. We'll be live outside the stadium at 6, and we'll also hear from their coaching staff at 11 o'clock about the delay in the season. Guys?
Thanks, Nick. Another COVID cancellation in the sports world. Georgia Southern's game tomorrow against Florida Atlantic University is being rescheduled because of COVID cases and players. Florida Atlantic Statesboro announced it would not be able to play in Statesboro tomorrow because of COVID-related reasons. That game is now set to be rescheduled for later this season.
New this evening, we're getting an update on the total COVID cases in our local schools.
Over the past week, Richmond County schools reported there are 25 face-to-face students who are currently testing positive for coronavirus. The total number of teachers currently testing positive is 11. In Columbia County, over the past week, they're reporting 16 current cases among students. They are also reporting cases among 4 employees there.
In Aiken County last week, they reported 18 total positive COVID cases among students and employees. They also report every school has seen at least 1 positive case from either a student or an employee.
Also new at 5, we're learning more about the search for 2 missing brothers from Aiken. The Aiken Department of Public Safety says 9-year-old Matthew and 7-year-old Jerry Kinman vanished from the bedroom of their foster home on Thursday night. Officers believe the 2 boys were taken by their mother, Nancy Kinman. The Public Safety Department says they don't believe the 2 boys are in danger, but the boys are not supposed to be in their mother's custody. Right now, Nancy Kinman is wanted for questioning in the boys' disappearance. Police say she was last known to be driving a maroon-colored 2005 Toyota Camry. If you know where those boys might be, you're asked to call Aiken Public Safety at the number on your screen.
And in the last hour, we're learning the name of one of the 2 people killed overnight as they were hit by cars in Augusta. The Richmond County coroner says Melissa Faison from Augusta died after she was hit by a car on the 1600 block of Gordon Highway. She was actually the second of 2 pedestrians killed in that same area last night. The other person was hit a few hours earlier on Deans Bridge Road, not far away. That person's identity will be released after that family is notified. Today, state crews were out looking at this highway in Washington County, damaged badly by yesterday's storms. This is Highway 24 on a stretch of the road east of Sandersville.
Floodwaters destroyed multiple sections of the highway yesterday, blowing pieces of the road down an embankment. Georgia's Transportation Department simply calling it a road failure caused by a massive rainfall. That wasn't the only part of the road that was destroyed. In another part, a chunk of the road was taken out by floodwaters.
Yeah, overall, transportation officials say 3 separate road sections have to be rebuilt along that same stretch of Highway 24. All those repairs won't be done, they say, until late October, so there are going to be some delays and detours for folks who use that area. But, Riley, that was some violent water that came washing through there.
Definitely was, Richard. An incredible video, and I mean, you could just see that drone photography showing you the scale of those floodwaters and the damage that they can cause. So, as always, when we see those type of instances, a lot of times when the water's going over the roadway, you can't see that culvert's completely gone, and if you try to drive through it, you just go right into it. Take a look at the Savannah River now. You can see it's basically just blown out. Chocolate milk out there. We got some muddy water going on. We are dry this afternoon, though. We are expected to stay dry for a good stretch. We're only up to 78 this afternoon. We still have some humidity with dew points close to 70, but big changes heading our way over the next 24 hours. Our temps generally ranging upper 70s, low 80s. If you're heading out to those high school football games tonight, should be perfect out there. We're expecting mid-70s during game time. good bit of clouds, but not expecting rain. Have a look at a fantastic weekend coming up in just a little bit.
Sounds good, Riley. Thanks a lot. Local neighborhoods also hit hard by that heavy rain, which is leading to a lot of cleanup today. It's also why Richmond County schools were closed again today.
Celeste Springer is live now off Peach Orchard Road on Wimberley Drive. Celeste, what are you seeing over there?
Well, it's cleared out and almost dry here now, but yesterday you wouldn't have been able to guess. This looked more like a lake than a backyard. And actually, to paint that picture for you, I'm going to show you right over here. There is a line on here indicating where that water level was at. The family here loaned me some measuring tape, and by the way, when they gave this to me at the time, it was still wet on the inside from being kept in the basement. That did eventually flood. And you can see here, this line is about over 3 feet tall. This water, if I was standing it during that flood, it would have come up about waist deep on me. And so we're going to show you what that exactly looked like yesterday for that homeowner. She estimates during this whole flood, she lost over $10,000 in personal property alone. That does not include structural damages. And she also says she's about ready to move on and sell this house and look for a new one after years and years of this happening. Here's what she had to say about all that.
I mean, I know it can't be done in a day. I know it's going to take time, but this has been going on for years and been complaining for years. So I'm like, I don't know of any other step to take for that.
Yeah, and you can still see the remnants of this flood. Looking at this grass here, it almost looks kind of white in color. That's dried mud. However, I will say the homeowner informs me that usually when it floods here, like it has multiple times, her septic tank and her neighbor's septic tanks tend to open or empty, out here. And so it is probably a little safe to say this is not just mud that we're looking at here in her backyard. She's even kind of apprehensive letting her dogs out here at night to use the restroom. We'll have more for you coming up at 6 o'clock, hearing from the Savannah River, what waters look like out there, and more from this homeowner.
Celeste, thanks so much. Be safe out there. Today, Augusta officials say there were several sewer overflows around the city because of yesterday's flooding.
Yeah, we saw that video yesterday, but they say more than 500,000 gallons overflowed at the Water Pollution Control Plant over on Doug Bernard Parkway. That sewage overflowed into nearby Butler Creek. City officials say they're now monitoring that creek. The state actually requires them to do that.
They also report that over 50,000 gallons of sewer water overflowed from manholes 2 that occurred in the Finney Swamp, Rock Creek, Rays Creek, and Rocky Creek sewer basins. This man, who was seen in a video being pinned down by Georgia police officers, spoke out today about his arrest. This is Wrdw Walker, leaving jail after being granted bond. His attorneys fought for bond to get a medical treatment. This is a video that went viral last week out of Clayton County, Georgia. Walker says he was scared.
And I fear for my life, and I just pray and just hope that it don't happen to nobody else.
Walker still faces battery and felony obstruction charges stemming from the arrest. Yesterday, the Clayton County Sheriff's Office announced Brandon Myers was fired. That's the deputy seen on video beating Walker as he was held to the ground. There's been no action against Dakota Wrdw, the deputy holding Walker down by his neck.
Going to show you a pretty amazing sight on the Georgia coast today. Look at the size of this ship. This morning, the largest container ship to ever service the U.S. East Coast arrived in Savannah. You know those those cargo carriers there? They look small right there. That's actually what fits on the back of an 18-wheeler. That's the scale we're talking about. That's the Garden City Terminal welcoming the CGM Brazil. The Georgia Ports Authority says this ship can hold more than 15,000 of those shipping containers. The Brazil now sailing up the coast to stop in Charleston.
Today we remember our service members who still aren't able to return home to their families. Today is National POW and MIA Recognition Day. Fort Gordon held a ceremony today to remember the POWs and MIA in our armed forces, calling it a sacred obligation to those who protect our country.
Today, as we fly the iconic black and white flag across our entire country, it is not only a symbol to honor the POW and MIA community, it is a reminder of our sacred obligation to the men and women we placed in harm's way, and that we never leave behind a fallen comrade.
At the ceremony today, Fort Gordon also recognized the former POWs who live in our community. We're coming up on flu season right in the middle of a pandemic. Local doctors tell us how we can stay healthy, coming up in 90 seconds.
And we have dealt with some rough weather over the last few days, but we have a very nice stretch of weather in store for the weekend. Take a look at that forecast coming up.
Responsible for the content of this advertising.
With no treatment for coronavirus yet and flu season just a few weeks away, health officials are preparing to deal with flu and COVID patients.
Tradisha Woodard tells us what our local doctors say you should do to stay healthy.
Influenza vaccines are crucial this year.
AU's Health of Infection Disease expert Dr. Jose Vasquez says they're preparing for a unique flu season overlapping a pandemic.
Last year's flu season was pretty bad. We had a lot of patients hospitalized with not only influenza, but with secondary infections.
He says if they get the same number of hospitalizations as they did last year on top of COVID, they're in trouble. They're trying to vaccinate as many people as possible to avoid overcrowding in the hospitals.
Here, we're supposed to start vaccinating probably the middle of October. With the same rapid testing that we do for COVID is also going to be now testing for influenza.
He says only 65% of people get the flu vaccine, which is not good enough, especially during unprecedented times. He recommends that everyone prepares in advance, continuing to use the same precautions as COVID, like staying socially distant and keeping your hands clean.
All of that stuff is useful for influenza at the same time. So if we can mitigate COVID, we can mitigate influenza as well.
Tradisha Woodard on your side.
The flu season is here, and they're recommending get that shot this year and try to stay healthy. Live look at downtown Augusta. It's dry out there, but not a lot of sunshine to brag about on this Friday, Riley.
Unfortunately, no sun, and it looks like Saturday is going to be just as cloudy as today as well. Even though we're not expecting rain, I definitely anticipate the clouds the next 24, 36 hours, but by Sunday, should be nice and sunny out there for us. Not a bad afternoon. We are looking at a very chocolate milk-looking Savannah River, just thanks to all the all the rain that we've seen the past few days. The clouds are keeping our temperatures a little bit below average, staying near 80 this afternoon. We just mentioned the Savannah River near Augusta. We're not expected to reach an action stage or minor flood stage. We're likely going to see those water levels rise through the weekend and most likely crest by early next week, but not really expecting significant impacts from river flooding here around Augusta. Here's a look at our top official rain totals from Sally. Sandersville tops the list, getting close to 7.5 inches in Aiken County, Burke County, over 6 inches in many of those spots as well. So no wonder that we did see a number of issues out there yesterday. High pressure, though, is going to be moving in the next few days, and that's going to usher in some much better feeling air for us. Take a look at our morning low temperatures the next few days. Not going to notice a big difference Saturday morning, but by Sunday, we're expected to hit the 50s for the first time since May, and then waking up Tuesday and Wednesday morning, we're actually talking about getting close to the 40s, so a big cool down heading our way for sure. And whenever we're able to cool off this much, it also lets us know that the humidity is going to be much lower. So our muggy meter, no worry there. All the way through next week, we're expecting to hang on to very nice conditions. The clouds are going to be with us this evening if you're heading to those football games, but not expecting rain. The clouds will keep us in the mid-60s by early Saturday. Saturday looking fantastic, just going to be kind of cloudy out there. A little bit of a breeze out of the northeast, but temperature-wise, hey, mid-70s for highs, not too bad. Same thing if you're heading up to the lake. If you're trying to find some more sunshine, Sunday is going to be your better day. That's what we're expecting, mostly sunny skies. But both days will be dry, just a few more clouds on Saturday. And both days, a little bit of a breeze out of the northeast. We actually have a fishing rodeo going on at Mistletoe State Park tomorrow. This is free, minus the $5 parking fee. No registration needed, though. So all you got to do is show up at 8 a.m. Nice weather, maybe a little bit cooler up at the lake than what we're used to, but feeling great out there. And they've actually stocked 1,500 catfish for this fishing rodeo tomorrow. So should be a great time if you're looking for something to do with the kids. Next week, we're going to hang on to this below-average weather, 70s, through next Tuesday.
Riley, thanks. You know, it's not the prettiest boat on the water, not by a long shot, but it's making a trip down the mighty Mississippi, and for a good cause. We'll take you there in 3 minutes.
Breaking news now, just into the newsroom. We now know the name of a man the Edgefield Coroner's Office says was found dead in a barrel. The coroner confirmed that man was 60-year-old Thomas Lee Gainey of Lexington County. They estimate he had been dead 24 to 48 hours before he was found on Rachel Road in Edgefield County. Officials have not announced any suspects in connection in his suspicious death. The coroner's office also tells us SLED is helping investigate.
Also today, a man bringing awareness to a national nonprofit in a very unusual way by taking a long trip down the Mississippi. And it's not exactly luxurious, but Josh Lamberty tells us his journey is just the beginning.
The mighty Mississippi at Bettendorf's Isle of Capri was calm this morning.
Running the right way is the most important part of its job.
That's until the SS Hail Mary stirs up a wake.
So there's not much elegant about it.
Eric Mischie captains the vessel.
This is a Home Depot garden shed that has been modified to sit atop a 50-year-old rotting pontoon deck. Look at this last one.
Taking it down the Mississippi all the way from St. Paul, Minnesota to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Let me straighten up here real quick. Well, this thing drives a little bit like a cigar box.
As Eric floats down the river, he's calling attention to Spare Key.
Spare Key is a nonprofit that provides financial assistance to families that are dealing with significant medical crises.
That organization has helped families in need for more than 20 years in nearly every state.
By the time I get to Louisiana, Louisiana will be the last state in the country where we're not registered to help families.
COVID-19 impacted Spare Key too,
which has left us a deficit by the end of this fiscal year of anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000.
So in desperate times,
that's why we call the raft the SS Hail Mary.
Eric tries to bring hope down the river.
I'm a big believer in hope, and I think that's what this country needs more than anything else right now.
Bringing hope to the world however he can.
And if they can find it in a garden shed on a pontoon traveling down the river, then I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Even if it's a little shaky along the way.
Louisiana is the last state in the country where Spare Key needs to register to provide their services.
And if you'd like to follow Eric's journey, you can see a live video stream and ways to donate to the organization right there on the Spare Keys website. Riley?
Weather's looking great this weekend, feeling like fall with highs in the 70s. Now look at that forecast coming up. Take a look at our community calendar. Arts in the Heart may have been canceled this year, but starting today, you can buy arts and crafts from those vendors. They're going to be available online on the Arts in the Heart website. The 2020 Digital Fine Arts and Crafts Market is running now through Sunday, so a great way to support local artists. Unfortunately, now we did have to cancel Art in the Hearts this year, but luckily you are still able to buy a bunch of great items from local artists. If you have to get out in the yard tomorrow, we are expecting a very nice day. Clouds through most of the day on Saturday. Very comfortable temperatures as well. Our high temperatures tomorrow actually expected to be in the mid-70s, so it's feeling like fall all weekend long.
Thanks, Riley. A leap forward in testing. AU Health will be offering saliva testing within the next couple weeks. We have the details coming up in 3 minutes. Stick with us.